I thought that was really cool. And then at my bachelor dinner when I was getting married, I was really drunk. And Henry was sitting next to a friend, and I said, tell him about that idea. And he said, well, what if our dreams are really all connected? And I said, Henry, that's a show. We should make that a show. And in 2008, during the writer's strike, we were bored. And so we wrote the pilot that you just saw. And it was bonkers, and we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what to do with it. And so we worked on other things. You know, we worked on the last season of Brotherhood. We went off and did Rubicon and then Homeland. I went off and shot Two Guns and Law & Order LA. But we had this script that we loved. And then I had a meeting with Gale and Hurd. And, you know, she pitched me a book, which I passed on. And she said, what do you have? And I said, well, I got this crazy script. And she read it, and she fell in love and says, I want to be involved in this project. She came on board, and she had a couple of small notes for us. And Henry and I sat down on Wednesday and had lunch and figured out how to do all the notes in about 3 minutes, because that's the way we worked. And we were going to get together Monday to discuss how we're going to divvy up the work. And his wife emailed me Monday morning saying Henry was under the weather and he couldn't do the call. And I got a call that night that he had passed away from aortic rupture. And I didn't touch the script for you. And a year later, I had to do it. I had to finish it. Finished it. Went back to Gale and said, I want to do this show. Gale said, this is terrific. Let's get a director on board. And first person we really went to was Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, whose work on Intacto I just thought was spectacular. And he and I sat down and we talked about the show a little bit. And he said, let me send you some images. And he sent me a PDF of about 60 images. He said, I think this is what the show is. What are your notes? And I wrote back, I said, I got one note. Yes. Juan instinctively understood what the show should look like, what it should feel like. He was a tremendous collaborator. And then we went out and we sold it to USA, who was looking, you know, to move more in the sort of direction of different and weird and new and special. And here we are.
Thank you. Didn't have the opportunity to watch it.
Yes.
Describe for him what is this vibe that you're going with? What's it going to feel like in the first season?
Well, I think you got to start with the premise. I'm assuming people who haven't seen it before. The premise is really simple. Again, we're not trying to keep secrets from the audience. We're going to answer all your questions within the first, 6 to 9 episodes. The premise is, what if all of our individual dreams are like tiles in one grand mosaic we're all dreaming together? Only most of us can't see beyond the boundaries of our little tile. Well, what if there's people who wander out of their tile into your tile? You ever had a bad dream and one day you woke up and you were in a bad mood because you had a bad dream? Or you woke up good because you had a good dream. Well, imagine you can wander into somebody's dream and make it bad or good. So within that premise, which is a little David Lynchian, I would say, it's really inspired a lot by Haruki Murakami, his Japanese novelist I love. And also by, all the surrealists ever. The vibe of the show is 3 people on a quest in a world where their dreams are actually where half the drama takes place. Normally dreams are this other Greek chorus. In our world, a scene that happens in a dream, a fight between a girlfriend and boyfriend in a dream, is just as much of the dramatic structure as them having breakfast the next morning. So the idea is that the landscape of dreaming and waking, almost like a Venn diagram. The problem for our characters is they begin to cross over and get confusing in the middle. So the vibe, it's slow immersion into this weird, different world we'll be a part of.
Will you go into how the different dreams intersect?
Yes, but we're going to do it in a way that we're going to take our time. We want audiences to really get invested really in the emotional journeys of these 3 characters. And there will be points early in the season where they cross over but don't quite realize it. But in the end, by the end of the year, their actions in their dreams are all intersecting and interacting. And we're not going to rush it. What we want to do is we want the audience to really sort of follow naturally, organically how these 3 people come together and how their 3 individual quests. How their 3 individual quests. Tessa's quest to find her son, Taka's quest to somehow heal his mother, and Burton's quest to figure out what happened to the woman in red. For all of those 3 things to come together.
Will the quest then have something to do with humanity, saving humanity, or some larger purpose?
Well, we're not going to do Save the Cheerleader, Save the World. No. That's not our bag, baby. But I do think that the stakes will be high, and we will get a sense that there are larger forces at play.
Okay.
I think one of the dangers of a show like this is if you make it about saving the world in the first season, what do you do in the second season? I think really what the show always needs to be is grounded in the emotional truth of these people. I mean, it's no accident that the shows Henry and I idolized and he worked on and that I worked on, we come out of the school of Josh Brandon, David Chase, and David Simon, and that kind of thing. And our goal with the show, in a way, is to do that style premium cable character drama with this genre-heightened element. It's a personal thing of mine. Is I think, like, we've seen the best Breaking Bad there's ever going to be. We've seen the best Mad Men there's ever going to be. But that premium cable character-driven idea is still there. It just needs a new evolution, and the evolution is to take it to a place that is, for lack of a better word, has a little bit of magic in it. I mean, that's why I think Game of Thrones resonates. It's what I think we do, is we're taking something that feels grounded and character-driven and real and very cinematic also. That's the understated thing about all the shows. They're incredibly cinematic. And our goal is to go create the next evolution of that family of shows where you add in a little Fellini. You add in, that idea of the surreal on top of that. Again, other, magical realism, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it's real, grounded people having a surreal experience.
How many episodes?
10. Yeah, we're just shooting the 8th and 9th now. What else?
Is there any concern of too surreal for me? Do you know what I mean? Do you ever have to pull yourself back and say, okay, this is getting a little too people too?
Well, I don't have that word, but that partly goes to process. I mean, I understand where the question comes from, which is, in episodes 2 and 3, we have to make the audience trust us. We have to establish a clear grammar for the audience of, these are the shots and the style of shots we use in a dream. This is what we're using when we're doing somebody awake. So that they understand the style of dreaming and waking. So that in later episodes we can blur them more because the audience is fluent in the grammar of the show. We are not a show that does a lot of yak, 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 let me explain now my internal monologue or the mechanics of this or that. The goal is to slowly, after the cold bath of the pilot, to essentially immerse the audience in the idea of watch, person falling asleep, person having a dream experience, that dream experience then resonating in their waking life, and slowly, step by step, doing that. And at a certain point, the audience has that. They've been to that circus. So then you go to the next step, and things get a little weirder. And things start crossing over between dreams, or the line between dreaming and waking can get a little fuzzy if, say, you've been up for 3 days.
Right.
But you have to do it organically, you have to do it slowly, you have to do it in a way that the audience doesn't get confused. Again, the goal is never to trick the audience in this show. We will never do the scene where, oh, somebody's waking, walking down the hall, bang, 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 they're shot in the chest, they fall over, and then they wake up from a dream. That's not our show. We're never going to play that trick on the audience. We don't do that. That's not our grammar. We want you to know it's a dream, it's awake, unless we're playing those spaces where it's going. But we're not going to do that until after you clearly understand the grammar.
Will the characters have any paranormal abilities of any kind?
There are other shows that do that better.
Okay.
I think what I would say about it is that since all our dreams are really all one dream, people who are good dreamers and are sensitive in that way, they can feel things in the collective unconscious, like in the pilot. Tess is a trend spotter. She's, that person who can decide, everybody's going to wear that color green sneakers next year. How does she do it? Well, in a way, she's almost leaning against the barrier between the waking and dreaming world and kind of feeling what's back there and going, oh, right, that's what it is. So in a way, what they're in touch with is our collective unconscious. They're not, nobody's going to have flames shoot out of their eyes or any of that stuff. There are shows that do that brilliantly. That's not our show. We travel a little bit more in David Lynch than we do in Stanley.
Okay.
But you see earlier, if you make it a global thing, save the church, save the world, where you go in season 2? Well, that's the question then. Does it always stay focused on just these people? Or if, let's say, the show goes to second, third, fourth season, does the scope then start expanding out?
I think what you'll find if you get a second, third, season, by necessity, your focus expands. You build out a world, and I think you'll find any world that you'll find ancillary characters you're interested in, and you'll travel with them. For the purposes of the first season, because it is only 10 episodes, it's very, 10 is not a lot of episodes. It's not a lot of road. We focus on these 3 people and what this journey of discovering their dreams, talking to them, discovering the idea of our dreams being connected, how it affects these 3 people. But the people around them are also affected by that, and we create a landscape, and then season 2, we can add those people into the landscape. Because it's not a show about, the world's going to blow up on Saturday the 14th. it's easy to say, okay, this episode we're actually going to break pattern and go with this person, or this person's story is really interesting, let's make them part of it. So yeah, I think over time we will expand the number of people in our universe. But with only 10 episodes to do, I think the really important thing is to hang with our three leads, each of whom in their own way is just really compelling on screen. You know?
Will the characters have a complex backstory, or will you start at the present?
Oh, whatever backstory they have, we're not going backwards, we're not doing flashbacks. We do a thing where usually our cold openings are in some sense a hint of something that is away from our three people, so we break perspective with our cold openings on purpose. The metaphor for the show I've always used is, imagine our three characters are sitting around a campfire in a dark forest, and slowly the light from that campfire spreads out and you see more and more and more of the forest. That's their journey. But occasionally in our cold openings we'll drop a pin spot here and a pin spot there, and you'll see sort of things that are reflective of what happens in the same campfire and gives you understanding, or opens a new mystery. It's a bit more like how Breaking Bad would have those openings. But it's, yeah. So we're going to focus on our three leads at the beginning because they're great and I'm interested in them, and they have really interesting things happen.
Why these actors?
They're all dreamers. It's actually one of the funnier things that happen in auditions is Juan and I were sitting through audition after audition after audition, and we could tell within 5 seconds, and we sort of like, there were some people we liked and some people who didn't, and we realized when we pinned down is there are certain people who are dreamers and certain people who aren't. There's just this weird natural vibe people give off. Are you a dreamer? And actors would come in, and they're great actors who came in, whose work I love, and they're like, no, they're not a dreamer. They all had that ability to make you feel that their dreams would be compelling and that they were connected with their dreams. I mean, in the case of Lizzie, who plays Tess, you know, her audition consisted of her self-taping on vacation in a yurt somewhere in, I don't even know where. She self-taped one time, did one take of each of the 2 scenes, sent it to me, and I cast her off of that. I never met her, never called her back in, sent that tape to them and said, this is the actress I want to cast as Tess. She was that perfect. You know, she just was the character. David's character, Burton, that was not written to be black or British. It was kind of written to be Richard Burton a little bit, but by way of Humphrey Bogart. So somebody about 20 years older, probably white and American. David came in and was just so compelling. I was like, it's that guy. It's that guy, you know? And with, you know, Taka was originally written to be Asian, but sort of Will came in and had such a depth of humanity, such a warmth to him, that he was just sort of undeniable. He was the guy. Yeah. All right, I'll keep talking if you want me to. Find me later if you want more. I like to yak.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
It really is, you know, it is a show that asks a lot of compelling questions, but also surprisingly, which, you know, in the pilot we answer quite a few, so it's not just, okay, we're going to throw up a lot of things and you'll wonder if we don't know them. I'd like to think so. I certainly trust Blake.
So why USA? Why is that a good fit for the show?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, it's much easier telling people why now because of Mr. Robot. You know, when we were given, when the pilot was given the time, people didn't know that USA was going to be, you know, the home of a show as compelling and timely as Mr. Robot. But they knew where they wanted to go and Falling Waters fit within that framework, and then essentially was ours to screw up. But if we got the pilot right, there was a good shot that they would feel that the audience that enjoyed Mr. Robot would find this a very compelling program. Very different, but
We're not going to hold secrets. We're not going to.
I know that the answer's going to be good writing, but what, I'm curious in general, what draws you, what makes it feel like a right fit? Good writing. And in particular, this show, what it was about both those shows.
well, I was lucky, as you may have heard from Blake, because there was already a spec script that he had written with Henry Brunel. So I mean that's really a producer's dream. It's not someone comes in and pitches you something, and you know in half an hour they can make it sound fantastic, and then you realize it's missing a lot of things when you read it. I was able to read it and say, you know what, this is a journey I want to go on, and at the end of the day, I'm too old. I've done too many things. You know that it's got to be the right people. Someone like Blake, who knows where the series is going and can tell me that. Who has the same instinct things that I do as to, how to bring it to life. And then we attracted a talent like Juan Carlos Fresnadillo, who did Intacto and 28 Weeks Later, to direct the pilot, and he was on the same page. Then you go, okay, not only can this be a great pilot, but this can live on as a series.
How does this compare to the other shows that you're attached to as a producer?
It's very different. I mean, obviously with Walking Dead, there was a comic book with a huge existing fan base. Obviously the concern there that when we brought Walking Dead to Comic-Con the first time was the fear in those fans that we'd screw it up. That we'd get it right, that we would get it wrong, that we wouldn't appreciate the canon and bring it to life. Especially when we announced that Andrew Lincoln was playing Rick Grimes. It's like the guy, the kind of goofy guy from Love Always. I mean, that struck fear. But when we showed the promo, it was like, okay, great. We think we can trust this series. But with something original, so the good news, the bad news is there is no awareness, so we have to build the awareness, so you don't have something pre-existing to market. But we also have the ability to have no preconceived notions among viewers as to what it's going to look like and who's going to be in it and where it's going to be.
No, I just said awesome.
Is there a line you have to cross between making a show that obviously has got so many surreal qualities to it, and not pushing it too much, making it too surreal for the traditional audience? Like it gets too weird that makes Jordan goes, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, I think once again, it's fantastic that USA has Mr. Robot, a show that is dealing with some pretty compelling themes and doesn't give you answers that are all sewn up at the end of every episode. There's some serialized shows that, it's almost like each episode is very complete, even though they're telling a serialized story. And so the fact that Mr. Robot continues, to continue the various threads, I think is a great education for our show. But we also don't keep the mysteries. We know by the end of the pilot that we have the female lead, Tess, played by Lizzie Brocheret, is someone who's convinced she had a baby, that the baby was taken from her. But there's no evidence that she's ever had a child. But her life, she won't be complete without the absolute proof one way or another, and she really believes that child exists. So we're not going to keep that going, for 10 episodes, and only at the end let you know whether the child may or may not be real. And we've got Burton, played by David Ajala, who is madly in love, and the loss that he feels is the love of his life, and wondering whether she is really flesh and blood and exists, or is she just part of his own dream. And then the character of Taka, played by William Lee, who's lost his mother not because she died, but because she's been essentially comatose for years, and he wants that connection. She's there, he can see her, but he can't connect with her. It really is about loss of connection and loss in our world, which I think we're all very disconnected. We connect more with our devices than we do with other people, and I think that's why it's so interesting that it explores a dream world in which we are all dreaming separate tiles of a larger dream, and that maybe we can connect to each other if those tiles can all come together. And so there's fear of connection, but there's hope in the series as well.
So what's the social?
Well, Falling Water is to us, it represents the barrier between the dreaming world and the waking world. And it's a permeable barrier. You can pass back and forth. And there's a lot of watery.
explaining everything in dialogue.
I was going to ask, what's the social construct when these dreams collide and all these characters come together?
You know, that's the thing, is that part of what we postulate is it possible to enter someone else's dreams? Is it possible that what happens in the dream world is as real to us as what happens in the waking world? And are those, can those barriers fall away? So that's part of the construct.
Will the story go into what happens when these dreams coincide and when the characters do the characters get together and talk?
Yes, it will.
It'll be interesting.
Do you like the 10-episode model? You've done one of these. It's a lot better to do it rather than trying to do like the networks.
Well, I mean, you know, we got the series order in June. In January. And we started shooting, I think we started shooting in June. And because it's complex and visually compelling, you need time to build all that. And you want to make sure, because there are 3 central characters and it's about relationships, that you can thread those all through, that you know where it's going. You know, when you have like 15 and 16 episodes on, you know, shows like The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead, the pitch out isn't for the whole season. The pitch out is for the first 7 or 8 episodes. And then there's a second pitch out for the last 8. Because you can just imagine, I mean, how complex that is. When you consider that each outline is 20 pages. Yeah, that's a lot of reading. So it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of thinking. But with 10 episodes, it's manageable. You know, the writers can make sure that we achieve everything and don't run out of story or don't run out of character. Yeah.
The characters have flaws that they have to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really interesting about, certainly, you know, it's very true of Mr. Roa, is that our flaws are what make us human. And often we are the last people to know exactly what our flaws are. And sometimes, actually, it's through our dreams that we can explore them, or that they become even more evident to us. And perhaps if we can break through the fears that we have of finding out the truth about ourselves, we can heal ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we're going to be perfect, but I think acceptance. I think everyone is you know, trying to achieve some sort of acceptance. And once they've accepted themselves, it's a lot easier for them to accept other people. And once again, I think that's something there's all too little of in the world today.
Doing this for so long, we want to work with people. Do you find that as you're getting older, like I feel that way as a journalist, as you're getting older, it's like, do I want to spend time writing about this, or do I want to spend time writing about that? So you find yourself a lot of times wrestling with.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, I don't want to repeat myself, except if I realize that, you know, I've done something, I didn't quite do it right the first time. Maybe there's a way to reinvent it. But you know, I want to do things that to me are my way of either exercising demons, exploring new worlds. I was telling the other table that I've used dreams myself. Going back to Terminator, when we were in pre-production of Terminator and then going into production, I would, in my dreams, encounter problems that were inspired by what we were going to shoot the next day. And in my dreams, I would have like 2 or 3 different ways to solve them, and I swear to God, at least once a week, if not more, one of those situations would happen. And I'd already addressed it in my dream, and it was incredibly helpful. It was, however, like I was never escaping. I was never escaping from my work, because even in my dreams were becoming my work. And then I went to did Blake tell you that both he and the late Henry Vermel's, they have parents who are Jungian dream psychologists.
Oh.
So it's very well versed.
That helps, yeah.
Universe. I went to a Jungian dream therapist, and I don't even think Blake knows this, that I went to a Jungian.
Yes.
And but he was one of those people who he would audience who he was seeing. But he would say, so, you have the dream of the week this week? So I felt this pressure to have the most compelling, the most interesting, the most complicated, the weirdest, and Jungian, iconic iconography in my dreams. And I realized it was really unhealthy. Very, very, because, I'm a competitive person. I would be despondent if I didn't have dream of the week.
Well, here's my problem is I have boring dreams. Everybody thinks I have really, really weird dreams, and I just have really boring ones. Everybody comes up and says, you must have the weirdest things. I'm like, no, I get it out in a day.
That's what therapy is, writing the show.